Hey everyone, how's it going? Coming to y'all with another video. This one's a little bit different. I thought I'd do something that I haven't done yet, and that is show off mine and my wife's playmat collection. So this is going to be all the playmats that we have and actually use to some degree as playmats, not counting the ones we use as mouse pads. We actually have Keyforge playmats that a friend of ours gave us that we just use as mouse pads for our computers. So I'm going to show off all the playmats we actually use when playing games of Magic, and sometimes Pokemon in the cases of two of these mats. So, starting out, we have an oldie. This is from Dragon Shield, from like way back in the day for Dragon Shield. I think they called this their Arcane Protectors or Arcane Dragons or something. Basically, it is the playmat famously reviewed by the professor as being one of the worst of all time. However, my very first playmat ever was one of these. Not this exact one, that one's long since gone. But back in my competitive Yu-Gi-Oh days, over a decade ago, my very first playmat was one just like this, one of these green Dragon Shield mats. And so I wanted one for nostalgia's sake. Unfortunately, finding a tube to fit these things is nigh impossible, so I don't have an actual way to properly store it at the moment, but it is just kind of cool having this in the collection. It takes me back to those older, those days of playing Yu-Gi-Oh back in the day. Next up is another oversized mat, this one going the different direction. This is actually longer than a typical playmat, as opposed to being taller like the Dragon Shield. And this is art by Pete Ventners. Found the art on his website, went ahead and pulled it off there. Had it printed by another buddy of mine. Okay, so there was no sale involved, so it's not like a matter of profiting off of artwork that is, you know, not mine to profit from. But I had a buddy of mine print it for me on this longer mat so we can get the entirety of the artwork on it, and then a friend of mine went around with a brush and kind of touched things up because the image was really small, so she wanted to make things look a little more finely detailed. And we tend to use this one in the center of our fold-out table for all of our commanders and our life total to go onto, because we use a tablet to keep track of life with the EDH Shieldmate app. So this is perfect size to go in between all four of the other players' playmats, and then set the tablet in the center and everyone's commander and dice and tokens, everything in the center so everyone can reach them. And that's what we use that one for. Next up, this is Star City Games. I think this is called Fintuition. Playmat a buddy of ours had, and whenever he sold out the game at one point, he is back now, but whenever he had sold out, he was getting rid of his playmats as well. And the person he sold this to is another friend of ours, and she bought his whole collection. And she was like, I don't want it, I don't really care about it, you can have it. So, yeah, Fintuition. Just a nice little Star City Games creature collection mat. I still want the old Star City Games Panda mat, but for now, this does just fine. And then our other Star City Games creature collection mat is Vampire Night Fox. My wife is a huge fox girl. Like, she loves foxes. They're her favorite animal. Foxes and dogs. So she saw this and she had to have it. She grabs this every single time she plays her Edgar Markov deck, and honestly, it's just an adorable playmat. Next thing we have on the list, this is the Shining Legends Pokemon playmat. We do not competitively play the Pokemon TCG, however, we do buy the pre-con event decks and theme decks and whatnot, sleeve them up and just keep them that way to play against each other for some fun. We do know how to play, we do enjoy it, just not enough to keep up with it and play it competitively or anything, or really invest tons of money in building decks into. We already have Magic for that, and juggling 2 card games is honestly kind of a nightmare. So, yeah, mostly gets used when playing the Pokemon TCG, and that's what she'll use, and I will use one of my oldest mats. This is a Pokemon vs. Yu-Gi-Oh mat that I found on Amazon way back when I first started playing Magic again, which was, I guess it's not that long ago. It would have been Return to Ravnica, somewhere between Return to Ravnica and Theros. Would have been whenever I got back into Magic. But I found this on Amazon, and I had to have it because I was a Yu-Gi-Oh player and I was a Pokemon fan as well. And I thought this was just too freaking cool. I've had this since college. It really should be retired. It's beginning to fray and kind of come apart at the seams a little bit. I don't know if that's picking up on camera, but I really should retire it, but I don't. I still play on it, and I use this mostly when we play Pokemon, which isn't all that often, so it's no big deal. Next thing is playmat from Gamer Mats. from a store called Brigandry Games. Funny enough, I actually hate the store this is from. I do not like the store, do not get along with the owner. There's been some less than ethical things I've seen in that store, and some less than ethical business practices, such as literally standing over somebody and making them open a pre-release kit whenever they just wanted to buy it and take it home to a friend of ours who couldn't participate. We actually went as a group, and one of our friends who was going to buy my wife's pre-release kit and bring it back to her so she could build her sealed deck and play, the store owner literally stood over her shoulder and told her she was not permitted to leave until she opened up the kit. So, unfortunately, a lot of bad memories tied to the store itself, but a buddy of mine gave me the playmat because after that incident, he didn't want it anymore, and honestly, I don't either. This mostly just gets used when guests come over, just because it's a playmat that I don't mind if it gets dirty, and you see there's actually some coffee stains on it, and I never bothered to wash it because I don't really care about it all that much. Also, it's extremely freaking thick. I mean extremely thick, so it barely fits into a playmat tube when rolled up. Will not fit in the Ultra Pro playmat tubes. It has to go in a Monster. So, and even then, it barely fits into one. So, probably my least favorite playmat of the bunch, and I really don't even enjoy owning it. Next up, this is an Angus McKenzie playmat that I found on Amazon again. Back when I had Angus McKenzie built, as opposed to now it's been switched over to Duvasa, this was really cool because it let me play on the same mat that my commander was. Now that I don't have Angus actually built as a commander, this gets used about as much as any other playmat, honestly. Stitch border, which leads to a lot of that stitch border fray. It's okay. Decent playmat. Don't hate it. Not going to get rid of it, but it's not my favorite. And after this, it is all Ultra Pros. So, here we have Dragon Lord Dramoka. This was my wife's very first playmat ever, and she was really upset when a buddy of ours was not paying attention to what he was doing when he was filling out his D&D character sheets, and there's some ink that bled through that we were not able to get off of the playmat. So that's a bit sad. But Dragon Lord Dramoka, it was the second deck she ever built. That deck is now a Shalai Voice of Plenty deck, and she had the deck built, she loved it, she wanted the playmat, and so she got it. Next up, in a somewhat similar vein, is one of my earlier commanders, and that is Doretti Scrap Savant. This was the deck that I was most known for in my meta for a while, until I eventually took the deck apart after many complaints of being Mindslaver locked. The meta wasn't very fond of it. But I loved Doretti so much. Such a fun deck, such a capable deck, very powerful Artifact Matters deck. And I still have the playmat, I still use the playmat because I still love the character. And maybe one day I'll get back to rebuilding the deck. As for the playmat itself, a buddy of mine actually bought this for me at Hastings before they went out of business and gave it to me as a gift, and I still have it. Another one of my older playmats. This is my game day mat for Fate Reforged, Champion mat. And I've had this ever since Fate Reforged. Absolutely love this thing. Gorgeous playmat. It's gotten some stains over the years that I haven't been able to get out of it, and I don't play on it all too much anymore just because I want to try to keep it in good shape. I'll probably frame it at some point because this artwork is amazing, but easily one of my favorite playmats. And then the other four mats I have to show off are all newer mats, so let's go ahead and get into that. You can't have Ugin without having Nicol Bolas. Okay, the Japanese art Nicol Bolas playmat. Freaking gorgeous. Love the playmat. I use this every time I play my Nicol Bolas the Ravager deck because I like theming my playmats to my commanders. And honestly, I would love to have a playmat for every single deck that I own to specifically play with that commander. And my wife and I are up to 35 commander decks with 2 more in the works. So, quite the task, but I'm positive I'll get there one day if I keep at it. In a similar vein, here we have my Niv Mizzet Reborn playmat. Another one of my all-time favorites. I love Niv Mizzet, Ugin, and Nicol Bolas. I'm basically a simp for these giant genius dragons. And I do currently have Niv Mizzet Reborn built, and I play this every time. I use this mat every time I play that deck. I also use this when I play my Niv Mizzet Draco Genius deck. However, whenever the D&D set drops, Niv Mizzet Reborn will likely be no more. The deck will be the same, but I'll likely be swapping him into the 99 and putting Tiamat at the helm of the deck, because as cool as a dragon avatar is, man, is it hard to beat a dragon god. But love this playmat. I think this is a original MagicArt.store limited release. At one point, I was able to find this one on eBay for like 30 bucks, and I just jumped on it. I had to have it. Love it. Love the artwork. Another very recent acquisition is the Dominaria map playmat. I was very surprised to see that a local game store still had this in stock, still had these brand new in stock, and for 20 bucks I jumped all over it. Gorgeous playmat. Love the way it looks. Not tied to a specific commander, though. Probably could use this every time my wife wants to play Shalai, because, you know, Dominaria. But honestly, I just love the way it looked, and that's the entire reason I got it. And then last, but certainly not least, is the Throne of Eldraine Key Art playmat by Seb McKinnon. And this thing is absolutely freaking gorgeous. Love the colors, I love the artwork, I love the artistic style. Yet again, this was still in stock at my local game store for 20 bucks, and I cannot find these on the internet anywhere, especially not for cheap. I've seen some sold listings for some that were pretty high up there, but the price point is honestly irrelevant. I just loved the art on the playmat, and I had to grab it. And that is currently all of the mats that we have that we are using as playmats. Probably not the most interesting video in the world, but I figured someone out there might get a kick out of it, so figured why not make a video out of it and see what happens. So, hope you enjoyed. Hope you enjoy the rest of your day, and until next time, peace and take care.